welcome to a special playoff edition of the PRFC Fan Show. A fan show by fans.
For fans, I'm Kevin.
And I'm Edward.
And we are going to talk some footy because you know what? We had a good week. We went in to T2, wanted revenge, got our revenge, didn't we?
We sure did. I'm still buzzing from that game, Kevin.
Oh, yeah. You know why? Because he had like 60 Bud Lights during that game. I'm not even sure he saw the last two goals of the game, which was something to miss because Drogba's free kick was, of course, magical. And we had halftime, but the electricity that came from his free kick lasted through halftime and went all the way through the rest of the game. We took the 3 points, and it was revenge, the dish best served cold. It was awesome. And we get to do that again, don't we?
We do, absolutely. The stars have aligned, and everything is coalescing in our favor. We're playing Swope Park at home, which, if you remember last year, we played Swope Park in the playoffs, and what happened last year?
Oh, boy. You know what? It was a disaster when we lost in penalty kicks to them. I mean, everything about that game was wrong and off. I mean, the weather, the delay time, all that kind of stuff. So we have a big chance here to, once again, get revenge.
Get revenge, and just so we remember, that the world is watching. I don't know if you saw how much traction that Drogba free kick got, but it lit up Twitter around the world. I saw articles, in England, just all over the place.
Everywhere.
Yeah, saying he still got it, and you know what, PRFC still has it, and we're looking forward to a victory on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of exposure that we're getting as PRFC because of DDA is just incredible. I would say that if we are not the most popular, we're close to the most popular soccer team in America, period. MLS, national teams, USL, we are in the top 3 at least.
I thought you were going to say fan shows, but yeah, no, I agree with that too. Anyways, we have a lot to talk about on this show, so let's get right to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're going to move on. Here we go.
Let's do it.
USL Yeah!
Alright, okay. Once I get past that part, fine.
Okay, Edward, it's time. Let's go. We're rolling.
Is this seriously what the interns wrote for the intro?
Well, yeah, it's great, and just use it, will you?
They know I hate to be animated. Fine, whatever. Here's a real spooky Halloween
No, you gotta use the ghost hands, man.
What are ghost hands?
Ghost hands, like this, ghost hands.
God. Fine. Here's a real spooky...
No. Come on, man. A little enthusiasm. Ghost hands, spooky, ghost hands.
Okay. Here's a real spooky Halloween coincidence for you. USL Yeah? 2 words. Sorta. Matthew Harding, 2 words. But the other thing they have in common is what will really scare the socks off you. Matthew Harding is our USL Yeah winner of the week. Okay, that's not that scary. Plus, we have a nod to Sac Republic and an extra special nod to Las Vegas Lights. Now that's scary. For those of you who missed it, Matthew made USL history by becoming the youngest player to sign on the dotted line at the age of just 15. Not only that, but he opened up his account early on in his debut by scoring what would turn out to be the USL's goal of the month. Ordinarily, I wouldn't give somebody that much credit for scoring against Las Vegas, but this kid completely picked apart their defense and delivered a textbook shot from inside the box that would make Golden Boot winner Cameron Lancaster look like Cameron Lackluster. He made Jason Johnson look like Jason, come on, son. He made Thomas Ina Voltson look like not as good at scoring goals as he is. Matthew didn't just see his dream come true, he made it happen, and in a huge way. And for that, he earns both the distinction of being the only Sac Republic player that Phoenix Rising fans will ever root for, and this week's USL Yeah.
USL No!
Big baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Oh, it's Edward. Hey, Edward, what's going on, man?
Oh, you have the crew?
No, what's going on with Columbus Crew?
They're staying in Columbus, man. This is awesome.
You mean after all that hard work, they're going to stay in Columbus? That's fantastic.
Well, yeah, it's not all good news. So, the MLS's Precourt still take its team to Austin, and they're going to use up one of the expansion spots.
Wait, what? So they're just going to take that prick, throw him at the head of the line, hand him Austin and say, here's an MLS slot, screw everybody else?
Yeah, man, it's 1 foot left. That's it.
So that means there's 1 spot left for this current selection, and then there won't be any more spots left until 2022 or something. And so we just all need to sod off because Precourt gets his little way.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Can you hang on for a second?
Sure, man.
I'm just going to mute you for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
This is unbelievable. If the MLS does in fact allow Precourt to go to the head of the line and bypass all the other cities who have been spending years vying for MLS expansion slots, they need to be furious. Let's face it, Precourt is a proven athlete who could not care less about fans, let alone the players. His attempt to move the Columbus Crew out of Ohio was both calculated and cold-blooded. He stands for everything an owner shouldn't be. And what does he get for being a soulless son of a bitch? Well, he gets a freaking job from the MLS, along with a team and a city to put him in. I mean, what the hell? He has no contract signed for a stadium, and believe me, that stadium signing is being used as leverage to force this deal to happen. Yet there's huge, significant backlash against the stadium from multiple fronts. Yet, he can run around throwing tantrums like a spoiled, rotten Veruca Salt and get the MLS to fall to the ground and ask him to take whatever he wants. I mean, exactly who does he have dirt on? That's the only possible reason I can think that this could happen. While I do want to see Phoenix Rising become a part of the MLS, I have to call bullshit. I mean, if they can do this now, what can they do in the future? So I say that all the teams or all the cities that are vying for slots in the MLS should band together and in one loud voice scream, USL No. Hey Edward, sorry about that. Didn't mean to put you on mute for so long. That's interesting news. I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah, man, we can talk more about it. I'm on my way right now. I got those popsicles you like, so we can eat those and then film the show.
Sweet. All right, I'll see you in a little bit, man.
All right, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
Drogba. Oh, what's in the water?
Hey Kevin, I heard that you sat down with 2 of Phoenix Rising's owners, Brett and Berkey. How did that go?
It went fantastic. I have always thought that we have great ownership, and every time I talk to Brett and Berkey, I feel more and more confident about the direction of this team. They are so supportive, so humble, so awesome, and in fact, Brett came to me and said, hey, we want to be on your show because they want to communicate with the fans, which states a lot. So we had a great conversation. Why don't we check it out?
Yeah.
Brett, Berkey, thank you so much for joining with me today. This is a real pleasure, and just that, I am very excited to be sitting here with you today. It's been a great 2018 season with Phoenix Rising. Did you expect that we would get this far so quickly? I mean, let's say back in 2015, 2016, as things were just coming together.
The quick answer is no. In 2015, 2016 to where we are now, no, it's come light years, and that's because of Berkey and all the other partners that he brought in. Without their leadership, in particular Berkey's vision, this is a very different franchise.
Well, and most notably, if you saw the AZ Central article yesterday about DVA and the things that he wrote, and of course his relationship with you, Berkey, how important was it to the franchise that DVA become a part?
I think it was incredibly important. If you look at the years that we mentioned, 2015 and 16, the franchise, in my opinion, was in the wrong location, so we first needed to address that. And I think just bringing DVA immediately gave a sense of credibility for the franchise and the vision. So people actually started listening and paying attention to what the franchise was doing. And it was a big kickstart, jumpstart, whatever you want to call, but not just his abilities in the field, but his expertise on many other areas of the sport and what he has done throughout the last 20 plus years, it's been an incredible value. I think it was very important.
He is a game changer. To give you context, I was sitting at my desk in my home office, scrolling through the news on a technical conference call that was boring me to death. All of a sudden I see this article, Didier Drogba is in Phoenix, and I start reading it and I'm like, what's a Phoenix Rising? Why haven't I known about this? I literally got off of that conference call, called my buddy Rick, who I did the show with. DDA, Phoenix Rising, 15 minutes later we had season tickets. That's all it took.
Wow.
We were all in from the beginning. I mean, I've been looking for a footy club for years to follow. And we have clubs that we can follow, but I wanted somebody who was close to home,
Sure.
who's going to be in that Division 1 or MLS level to root for. And so the work you guys have put into it is incredible. Now, I want to ask, when it comes to DDA, who's a big obvious, let's say in the past year or so, what's the biggest bump you've hit where you're like, holy mackerel, what are we going to do?
In terms of
The team, just being able to, we always face challenges with the team.
Right.
I've got a couple things in mind, so.
I mean, the coaching transition is always, something that you worry about, right? Like you mentioned that before too. So we had a great run with Patrice, and he had a very unique and important opportunity. And even though he was under contract, we didn't get on his way, and that's the style that we operate. It'll be very similar to one of our players if he had a 3-year contract and an internationally known team came and expressed an interest to a player, we wouldn't get on the player's way the same way. So we were happy for Patrice, but especially when the team had a great run, regardless of how good we feel about Rick, you always worry about the transition, right?
Sure.
So it's never ideal to lose your head coach in the middle of the season. So I would say that would be the bump
Okay.
that made us.
And the most overcome bump I've ever really seen. It was a smooth transition,
Yeah.
about as good as you can get. The thing when I talk to the players is some of them, when I talk to them, have huge love for Patrice, right? But they were willing to embrace Rick right off the bat, I guess because Rick had already gotten that relationship with them. And Rick took a couple of games and then started adding his own flavor, and I like it. I think it's great. So I keep telling him I want to see the interim, gone, and we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But the quality of people you have in the organization speaks to how well you're able to face adversity.
That's well said. No, we're thrilled with Rick and Rambo and Corey and Blair.
Yeah.
It's a
Great team.
It's a fantastic coaching staff, especially at any level.
Oh, I agree. Rambo brings a certain bit of spice, I think, that Rick doesn't necessarily have. Rick's kind of the tactician, I think. He's great at strategy, and then Rambo just goes in there and brings some of that fire a little bit. And then, of course, Gavin, he kind of levels it all off in my mind. I don't know Gavin that well, but it seems to be a great mix on the coaching staff. And the players like it, so that's great.
And I mean, the results speak for themselves, right? We finished the year in a position that even going into the last match, we could have been on the top of the table. So that's not a bad place to be.
Not at all. Not at all.
So we dealt with that change in a very good way.
So we're in third place. We have a big game tonight against T2. I think we kind of got ripped off on Saturday night to a little bit of a degree. I think that if you'll forgive the term, I think our players are full of piss and vinegar and they're ready to go. So it'll be an exciting game. So I have to ask you, we've got the MLS showing up tonight. The fans, of course, are just biting at the chomp. I don't know if you see it from the fans, but there is a divide. There are fans who would like to stay with the USL and are very strongly opinionated that way. There are people like me who say, I love the USL, but I love the MLS too. And then you have those who really want to be with the MLS. So this is a big night. How do you see this night affecting our chances, and how do you see where we stand right now with the MLS?
I'll start with that, and then so I think to your point, we feel very fortunate to be in USL. The league has done a fantastic job. You saw recently Tampa raised or bought the Rowdies.
Yeah.
Another very prominent investor coming into the league. So the future is very bright for USL. The great news is, God willing, for our franchise, the state of Arizona, is that we can have, if you will, our cake and eat it too. I think we one day will be in MLS, and I think we'll still have a USL franchise because of the Tucson option. So the MLS meeting today is important. We're excited about it. There's a lot to update them on relative to how we're tracking for potential stadium location, etc. So it's great that they're coming in. I think it again gives credence to all the hard work we're doing off the pitch, if you will. But it's a very competitive environment. You saw St. Louis last week. They were really not in contention, and now the Taylor family has basically said they're going all in on this. You saw Sacramento. It sounds like they're making some positive traction as well. So, you know, our attitude is we're in this for the long haul. It doesn't have an expiration date on it. We don't need to get MLS between now and December 31st, and somehow, you know, that's going to be an issue for us. Whenever MLS wants us, we'll be here, and we'll continue to check all the boxes to make that a reality.
You know, I love the fact there's no sense of urgency coming from you guys, and I would not have imagined that.
Well, just to clarify, there's a huge sense of urgency, but we're pragmatic in the sense that, look, there are 10 other outstanding markets that are vying for 2 spots, at least right now in this window. And so we try not to live and die by the latest expansion news. We had an incredibly positive meeting with Don Garber this summer. That positivity continues, and we know what we have to deliver to get an MLS franchise, and we will deliver that. And it's just a question of what date, and at that point, it's just going to be an issue of when MLS chooses Phoenix.
I guess one point I will make is there's an environment where there's definitely a sense of urgency. We work really hard to deliver on those points that Brett has mentioned, but at the same time, there's an extreme level of calmness, so to speak, both at the same time.
I like the term pragmatic. That's a better term. That's what I should use.
Yeah, so, well, why? Because ultimately, without sounding arrogant, we feel like this market deserves it and we'll get it done, given our past history, as simple as that. And number 2, the league that we are in has seen a massive growth, and it just rebranded, and the quality of play and the players is increasing by day. So we're in a very good spot.
You know, and that's usually someone who complains about the USL will say it's the quality of play. And 3 years ago, I would have agreed with them. But that's not true anymore.
Correct.
The quality of play is really, really high.
Yeah, it's well said. The quality of play keeps increasing or improving exponentially every season. I'm blown away by it. Or said differently, the team that we have this year, I think, would have beaten our team last year. The team last year would have beaten the team. I mean, and that's obviously not just with us. It's a reflection of, as great a team as we have, we're sitting in 3rd in the West, and there's some outstanding teams on the East. So the depth of the league is exceptional. And so we recognize already we're starting to think about what we need to add to the roster for next year, especially with Didier moving to a different, you know, realm of his career.
Which I wanted to dive into, but you know what? I think I'm going to just leave that one alone. He's going to be in a role, probably not defined yet, is my guess, but he is going to be a role.
He'll still be active, for sure.
He made it clear in his article that he wrote and was published yesterday. He said he loves it in Arizona, he likes to be here. To me, that was very comforting.
We have some interesting plans, so we'll disclose that at the due time, but he'll be very involved. And look, I was with World Cup with him at the World Cup finals. I can tell you, we are very likely the most recognized team from the United States because people know as Didier Drogba's team. And that's on an international arena, that's what he carries. So when I was meeting with the old ex-World players, stars, and everybody knew what Phoenix Rising was and what we were doing.
Yeah, take that, Wayne Rooney.
So, but we have some interesting plans that will really, I think once we disclose them, you'll be very happy with.
Well, you have fans chomping at the bit of what these plans are. Drogba, the MLS, and the stadium. I know you guys can't tell me any details, but do you feel like you're making good progress towards the stadium, and how interlocked is that with our MLS bid?
We're making great progress. If we weren't, MLS wouldn't be coming in today. You know, we're not going to waste anyone's time. So we felt that the timing was right to give them an appropriate update, have them literally sit in the room with a lot of stakeholders that are helping us to make this a reality. Stadium's important. We like the design that we have in the stadium. We think it does, most importantly, addresses the heat, which, and, you know, as I've stated before, the only thing that keeps me up at night relative to Phoenix is the heat, because it's an issue. You don't want a situation where the fans and players are, you know, dealing with that.
Not comfortable or safe.
Exactly. So we're confident we're addressing that, and we've got the right ownership group, we've got the right city, we've got the right fans, got the right brands. You kind of go through the list, and so now checking the box on the heat side of things, that's where we kind of feel like we can bring all this together, and hopefully in fairly short order.
And that is a very segregated opinion area for fans also. Some are just vehement, like me. I want another stadium next to the one we have, and I want to be outdoors. Something like the rendering that was done would be great. Others are like, no, take Chase Field, you know, get the retractable and do that. And I see merit there, to be sure. So either way, we're going to show up. You know, it's going to be a great time, but we can't wait to find out which direction you guys are going. It just must feel good to sit on secrets like that.
I don't know. I look forward to the day when we officially break the seal on a bunch of announcements. You know?
Can you say this? Do you have a year that you expect that we will be the inaugural season for the new stadium?
I think 2022.
2022?
In an ideal world, if everything lined up correctly.
Okay.
For the new stadium, yeah.
Great. That's about what I would expect.
Yeah.
You don't build that thing in a half a day. There's a lot that goes into it. So.
But that doesn't mean we couldn't start to play in MLS before, like
Sure.
other cities are doing, just to clarify.
Absolutely.
I mean, ASU has been a great partner to us, and you know, we could utilize on a short-term basis what they have going on there if we were awarded sooner than that.
Do you imagine that we will spend another season in the current stadium, or do you think the
for
move
sure.
is...
Yeah. That's guaranteed.
Okay,
We're
great.
certainly there for 2019.
Wonderful. 'Cause that's-
We love Claire Miller and the Solana. I mean, Dave Ford and them, they're outstanding partners for us, and so regardless of where the future holds relative to our MLS stadium, you know, we'd like to have a long-term. We've got a lot invested into that property, and they do as well. So
Sure.
It's a great atmosphere too.
yeah.
It's half the personality of the team. I mean, I feel like I'm back in England, going to a Division II game or something. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm all over that stadium. I sit right behind the players, and the sun's beating down on me. I'm just like, yeah, bring it. This is where I want to be.
It's a game. It was a game changer for us. You know, you could talk about a lot of things, but at the end of the day, having a place that we call home, that changed the trajectory of this franchise.
Agreed. It was good to see that players have covers now.
Yes.
I was really starting to wonder.
What, like 4 or 5 weeks ago? Right after the summer was over?
After summer was over, yeah. I was talking to...
Maybe we'll put some misters in there.
Well, it's going to be exciting. It will be a game changer. But when we lose the old stadium, it's going to be saying goodbye to an old friend. I mean, this is our second season there, and we love it. But we're going to move on to bigger and better things. Speaking of bigger and better things, we got to get through these playoffs. We got to end this season for sure. But I think you mentioned a little bit, Brett. You're thinking about the team next year and what we're going to do. That is a lot of talking by fans too. There's a lot of conjecture. We have some players who very easily could go up and play in a higher league, and we would certainly not like to see that happen. Is the team going to try and keep many of our players? And I know you can't talk about this in any great detail, but how do you see the team morphing for the next season?
I think there's two sides to that. I'll give you an example. If a player that has so much potential wants to be in a different situation, you know, you need to
can't hold them back.
You need to look from their perspective as well. So I think it's a balancing act, and it's on us to be able to, you know, fill those shoes with somebody as good, if not better, right? That would be that's what we do. So our goal as an organization every season is to field a team that can win the USL Championship. That's the goal. So to that extent, we will do everything in our power to put a team that our fans and our ownership will be proud of.
It's going to be hard to match this year's team. We have so much personality. We have so much talent. We see teams that are so good break up, you know, at the end of the season. So we all have no idea what's going to happen. You guys don't know what's going to happen at this point, but it will be interesting to see how you guys get bigger and better as time goes.
That's always the goal. I mean, you always want to go in that direction. Every season you want it to be better than the previous one. Yeah. And it's a combination of your players, the ones that also willing to or can move on and want to move on to bigger and better things, and it's what we can do on the other side to make it bigger and better, right? It's a combination.
Yeah. I think the good news, and not surprisingly, is that a lot of players that come into, a lot of the opponents that come into our stadium and they see our culture, they see the way
They want to be here.
They want to be here. So, you know, it's almost a fantastic recruiting tool in many respects. And then we have every interest in seeing a great, you know, the core of this team remain.
Yeah.
But it'd be fantastic if a host of them ended up going, you know, up to whether it's MLS or going overseas. You know, that's we're in the business of seeing young players develop and grow.
And think about the message that sends, that you came to Phoenix Rising and you're in a better place tomorrow than when you came. And that's the message we need to be sending, not that you're in a worse.
So you're going to be stuck in here for the rest of your life.
You know,
We want to see it as a launching pad. But we're thrilled. We've got a great group of young players right now. We are very motivated to continue to see, you know, them as the nucleus for next year. And then the good news is we've got a lot of outstanding talent that's been reaching out to us. Bobby and Rick have been doing a great job of cultivating those relationships. And then we picked up a host of players, you know, sort of mid-season, mid to late part of the season, on loan from some clubs. And you know, speaking of Rick, you know, in particular, he deserves a great deal of credit for the relationships he has across the league, and you know, specifically MLS, where we were able to get some outstanding talent that really helped take the side up.
You know, a lot of people don't understand the relationships he has with like LAFC, you know, and some other clubs, and what his influence has been. It's almost like it's as much as what Patrice had when he started bringing the Solomon Santes over and such. That's part of the special sauce of Rick.
It's relationships, and it's a program that the team has put together. So on the other side, they trust us with their players and the way we treat them and the information that we share with them. They feel good about having their players at home and a group of people that take care of them. That's a trust, that's a relationship.
I also think something that's worth noting is that with Tucson becoming a professional franchise coming up from the PDL next season, that's going to give us more flexibility on the roster. We can sign some outstanding young talent, have them start to ply their trade in Tucson, and you know, move them up, obviously here when the time's right. So I think we'll have more flexibility built in because of both teams under our umbrella.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's nothing better than having a feeder system in place to develop players, and that will be a game changer for us for sure. So, how bad does DDA want to win this cup? There's your answer.
It's pretty high. It's pretty high.
I think he said, and I think he was he had a quote saying, "We need to win this, or otherwise I'm coming back. So you don't want me back here." I think that's what he said.
You know, I've met my fair share, as we all have, of famous people, and none of them have ever made me starstruck except him. And literally, when I met him the first time, I could barely stammer out 3 words. I was so stupid. He just, because I walked up and said, "Yeah, I've seen you play. I saw you play with Chelsea." And he goes, "Oh yeah, what game?" I could not remember the game, and he just looked at me like, "You're so full of crap, dude." I was like, "No, really." He is a determined man. I think his skills on the field are important, but he's teaching our players has been so much more important. Solomon would not be the player he is today without DDA Drogba.
I've got to imagine for some of these young kids, the opportunity to train with him and see that firsthand, that's an education.
Yeah, to a T.
But no, Didier, there's not enough platitudes to describe him. I mean, on and off the field, he's an exceptional and unique individual. And the credit goes to this guy on my left, because when when Didier came in and spent a couple of days with us, I remember someone had asked me, about the prospect, and I was talking to myself, well, I just spent 2 days with one of the most extraordinary human beings ever, but, I think that might be the end of it. But not when you've got Berkey in the fold, because he would not let it go.
I was determined.
Well, again, we have a special sauce going on with the ownership of this team. With all the problems we see with ownership in teams in Arizona in general right now, all of you seem to bring a unique flavor to the ownership. And, Brett, we know what Berkey has done. You've been in the background since, the very, very early days too. And watching and hearing about what little I hear about how you all work together just means that we've got bright days ahead.
I mean, we're having fun.
That's
part, right?
That's critical, because
we
we all
just enjoy each other.
It's a lot of time, so you
That's
better
great.
enjoy it. And life's too short not to figure out how to make that work. It's not that's where I feel.
And it's not just us. I mean, the amount of work that goes from Tim Reister and Mark Detmer and our entire board of directors is just, you got a bunch of people basically putting a lot of their time and energy for the betterment of the franchise.
Yeah.
With no self-interest other than trying to help soccer in the state of Arizona.
I've always felt that it's an honor to, under any iteration, whether Arizona United and now obviously with Phoenix Rising, it's an honor to have the ability to play any role to help support ultimately, the city, the state, the sport,
Kids.
So you take that
and we're involved there, as you know, with our Blackhawks and what we have done there. I mean, we care tremendously about the kids, and our fundraiser was all about that exactly a week ago, which was a major success.
Yeah.
To help kids, follow their passion if they had no means economically to be able to travel or buy equipment for soccer. And we raised a bunch of money doing that last week. So.
That's one. I didn't know that was the banquet. That was the fundraiser for
Yes.
this. I did not know that was a fundraiser. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the amount of money we've got to get.
It wasn't a team's banquet. This is a different event on Hangar 1. We did it last Friday, and we had 275 attendees, and a very, very good event.
I'm sure we'll get the numbers shortly in terms of how much money was raised, but it was substantial. And I think, from our perspective, again, thinking about how it's the collective group effort, and we're very lucky with our ownership group, with our front office, with our coaching staff, with our players. Every single entity contributes. But I think we're in the early stages of massive investments into the state of Arizona. And ex-MLS, it's not solely about the stadium and the franchise, about really building up and supporting both professional and amateur soccer in the state of Arizona.
There does seem to be a huge momentum growing in the state, more so than others. I think maybe Chattanooga is another good example of where it's building up. I've got a couple friends who live out there, and there's a lot going on with the Red Wolves, which is fantastic. But we're going to focus on our team. You have a ton of fans. You see them in the stadium every single week with Red Fury and the Banditos, and then us boring people on the sidelines. We don't yell. Although we did, I'll claim this, we got a player on, who was it? Not San Antonio, whatever his name is, Waltz, I forget the team. But he got so upset with us on the sidelines, he flipped us off while he was walking by us on the field. And we were like, now we're doing our job.
You're doing something right, I guess.
So the only suggestion I have for the stadium for next year is we get Phoenix Rising Lager into the stadium somehow from Four Peaks, because that stuff is good. If you haven't had it, it is delicious.
Okay.
We got to figure that one out.
We'll get Jim Scussel on that. We should be able to figure out how to make that work.
Priorities.
We've solved tougher things over the last couple of years than that one.
There we go. Very, very happy with the team. Tonight's going to be a tough game. The drama that we have here coming against a team that just beat us. We might go against Swope Park next week. You can't write better drama than that, right?
That's right. Well, first things first is tonight, obviously.
Yeah, we got to take care of business, and it's not a giveaway.
No, that's right.
Nothing. I mean, utmost respect to Portland and what they bring to the table, but I think our guys do understand they got to come through, and they will. That's my humble opinion.
No, I totally agree. We're going to find out in about 8 or 9 hours from now.
We can't wait. No, I don't think any of us slept last night. We were all very early.
And I hate to talk about the referees. I don't talk about referees, but what you have seen last week, you don't get that all the time. So hopefully it will be a different environment too.
Hopefully it won't matter if they are,
Exactly.
if it's there, we come some close. But anyways, I'll start babbling about this stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate all of your support, and shout out to Rick for what you guys started, last season and continue on this season. So, and really excited to continue to support your efforts to help to build. I love every time I meet someone in this city that hasn't been to a Phoenix Rising game. I have tickets that I give out all the time. I'm going to extend an ownership to it. And every time I introduce someone to the team, it's got a tipping point where I know they become fans. And so every single collective effort, your effort in particular, has been fantastic to really build awareness. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
And finally, all credit actually goes, I know you guys have been talking about me, but it really goes to Brett, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a team here. It would have just, he went out of his way to keep it all together. We just got lucky that we got connected, but there wouldn't be a team.
I totally agree, and a lot of people don't know what goes on in the background, and that's one of the reasons
and what
I'm
he
so
had to go
excited.
through to keep it together. He can write a book on that.
I feel very fortunate in particular that with where the team was, where the team is, I've been positively obsessed with the opportunity to bring MLS to this state. And what the great news of all is that somehow the planets all aligned, in particular to bring the two of us together, because we had this vision independent of each other at the same time. And so for the opportunity for the two of us to sit side by side in these chairs and to kind of drive this vision reality. But I'm happy to be in the background and take whatever little credit. As I said, I'll do whatever it takes to help this team, including sweep the locker room and wash the jerseys if that's what it takes. And that's been the culture all along from everyone. But in particular, what I could tell you for sure, if it wasn't for this man and a handful of others, in particular Tim and Mark Detmer, that helped to bring this broader coalition together, this state, this city deserves MLS. And I think to your first question when we started off this interview, the great thing about it is that we've hit a tipping point where this team has got the foundation.
Hey, it's Kevin. I know you're wondering what in the heck's happening. Well, I'll tell you. I'll keep it really simple. We had a huge technical problem. The file saved to my SD card had problems, and if it weren't for the efforts of a couple of buddies at work, we wouldn't have any kind of an interview left at all. Thanks, guys, for your help. You know who you are. You were awesome. Berkey and Brett, I apologize that something so dumb like this happened. I guess life happens sometimes. Either way, we only lost about 3, 4, 5 minutes at the end of the interview, and I am sure that I'll be talking to them again. So sorry for the abrupt end. As you can see, it was a great interview. We're going to move on from here.
A huge thank you to Brett and Berkey for sitting down. What an insightful interview. It was very awesome of them to take some time out to spend with us. We really appreciate that. This is PRFC Fan Show.
A fan show by fans.
For fans.
And we will see you next time. Bum, 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 ba, da, da, da.